So you got transported back in time to medieval Europe. And you got a hold of an army and a few engineers and decided that you want to siege a castle? Good for you. Here is how you can do it, in a few simple steps. Now listen here, kid. The best way to start a medieval siege is to disrupt the enemy as much as possible, as early as possible, before your army arrives. To do that, you need to send out a small contingent of your best soldiers on their merry way towards the enemy position. Their only job is to cause mayhem around your future castle. They need to sack villages, capture merchants and country folk, disrupt supply lines, attack farms, cut off tradeways, kill enemy messengers, and do everything they can to make the life of your enemies miserable before you roll in with your army like the big boss that you are. Once the countryside has been thoroughly ravaged, it's time for the next step. When the enemy gets caught off guard by your cunning advance force maneuver, you gaze upon your free real estate and notice that the defenders are panicking and in disarray. This is your moment. You decide to seize the opportunity and send out a portion of your forces to storm the outer wall with ladders in a bold yet very risky move. Some of your men are shot and die before reaching the wall, but some of them manage to get through and fight the walkways eager to distinguish themselves. Sadly, none of them do. Who would have thought? After couple dozen minutes of ferocious fighting, as it was often the case, the attack fails once the defenders regroup and push back on your soldiers, losing some of their own guys along the way. Wait a minute, this wasn't the plan. The castle was supposed to be yours right now. You have to call upon your commanders and decide what to do next. What's left of your men from the initial assault gets back to the main army, but you are not discouraged by their failure to secure your future home. After discussing with your best and brightest, you order to set camp and prepare for an extended siege. First, you need to find a good place for an army camp. Things to consider would be flatness and natural advantages of the terrain, access to fresh water, distance towards the besieged castle, and access to stone and lumber for building defenses, as well as food sources such as game or wild fruit and vegetables. Once this is done, you begin construction. Of course, the enemy isn't going to attack you when you are building, right? Right? Anyway, you order your men and the captured peasants to build a palisade and dig out ditches, serving as an additional defense against sallies as well as a latrine. Next, they move on to digging even more ditches around the castle. This time, they are not for shitting, but for additional barricades and defensive positions. A suitable place for siege engines is chosen, and you are ready to begin your months or even years-long slumber party. Once your camp is built and secured, you go on the offensive. You order your engineers to start the construction of siege equipment, such as trebuchets, mangonels, or other types of catapults for bombarding the castle and a battering ram for breaking the main gate. Although you wouldn't want to destroy the entirety of the castle, targeting weak spots on the walls might be a good tactic. They won't easily crumble for you to breach them, but as a bonus, the constant bombardment will weaken the defenders' resolve and make them prone to capitulating after some time, while your big-ass siege engines continue to rain horror on your enemies. You employ a group of skilled sappers to dig out tunnels from a safe distance to undermine the castle walls. If you are lucky, and the ground is relatively soft, and the water level stable, they will reach their target before you contract some horrid illness, and a portion of a wall will collapse, creating an entry point for your army. While all this is going on, and you are feeling a little spicy, you can order the construction of a siege tower. It would be covered in soaked animal furs and hides for fireproofing and rolled towards the enemy alongside your forces at a staggering speed of an elderly man with gout, with a host of archers at the top, shooting at the defenders. A few solid months or years of bombardment and periodical attacks, and your enemies will either get hungry enough, scared enough, or smart enough to enter peace talks, which leads us to the next step. During negotiation, hunger's your best ally. Assuming you didn't fuck up cutting supply lines to the castle, its defenders should get more and more irritated with their rations being cut week by week, making them prone to surrender. Add to that a threat of severe violence once the castle is captured, and some of them might break. You'd want to look for potential traitors looking to gain something in return, or, if you are feeling more honorable, you could offer leniency to those that acknowledge your supreme authority after surrender. Either way, remember, there is little to be lost and a lot to be gained, so negotiate the shit out of them. If that doesn't work, we move on to the fun part. If the negotiations fail, you have two immediate choices. Either prepare for a direct assault or starve the garrison. You obviously choose the first option since you don't have the time to wait. So hopefully, your sappers are getting close to collapsing the walls and your army is ready for a frontal assault. You ready your men and siege engines and begin fighting. This part sadly relies on your abilities to command and having an IQ higher than room temperature. If you are lucky, your sappers would breach and clear a section of the wall, and your men will be able to get into the castle. Although most of them will probably die in the chokehold. You wouldn't just throw all of your forces at the wall, though. No. You are smarter than that. You are an adept of siege warfare, so you know that most sieges end only after a number of attacks, each testing the defenders' resolve and breaking their spirit bit by bit. You can give the defenders one last chance before a full-fledged frontal assault, though that is if you are feeling gracious. You order your forces to get into formation and prepare, with the tension of a coming battle arising. Hopefully just seeing your army prepare for an attack would be enough for the defenders to capitulate. If not, it is between you and God what punishments will be inflicted upon them once you finally breach and capture the castle. Weeks of bombardment and the skilled use of your sappers has weakened a portion of the outer wall. This is where you will breach. You order your artillery to take aim, send out the battering ram towards one of the gates as a distraction, and command your men alongside the siege tower to march forwards while rocks rain down from above on the castle walls. With good timing and some luck once they get to the walls, a breach would have already been formed, and your men can get through in order to finish the starved and broken defenders off. After some hours of fighting, this is it. They have been dealt with, and you can finally rest within the walls of your new fortress. That is, of course, until someone else comes knocking at your gates. Thank you all for watching. This channel recently hit 10K subs, and I couldn't be more grateful, so big props to all of you for making this milestone a reality. As a note, I have launched channel memberships a while back, still considering some of the perks I could offer, but right now, if you would like to be credited as a supporter at the end of my videos, feel free to join. Anyways, thank you all so much again, and I will see you soon.